Hello and welcome back to Arley Farm again. Now I've had to start this farm map again and I'll show you why. If we go down this road, before when you went through this gate here, I had in here a farm shop. And you drove through the car park of the farm shop to get to another gate that was probably about here, and that led you through to the main paddock here. But I decided that farm shop that was in there here was far too big and just it didn't look in keeping with the area. In this area here the roads are very narrow, as you can see they're barely above single lane really, so I didn't think a big huge farm shop was really in keeping with it. But the reason I'd put that in the first place is this paddock here, I think with these two big concrete posts either side of the gate, it looks far too kind of impressive to just be a gate into a farm paddock. So I have now come up with a different idea that I'm going to experiment with, and that is that this gate could have been originally the gate into the old farm homestead, when this was one big farm before it was divided into lots of smaller farms. And so what I might put in the corner of this paddock here is some old building ruins of what would have been the old homestead before the newer farmhouse was built here, and therefore this gate is basically all these two gate posts either side of this gate are all that really remains of the old farm homestead, apart from a few building ruins in there. I sort of thought, because this building here does probably look reasonably modern, so conceivably this could be the new farmhouse that replaced the old farm homestead. So yes, I've had to start this map all over again. I have put this garage in already, although I think I'll need to widen this driveway a wee bit, so I might just do that now as we talk. Landscaping, painting, gravel, and we'll change it to a circular paintbrush. So bring this around to here, sort of thing. Oh, that's it, more like it, yep. That's probably a bit of width to get cars around to that double garage. Yep, so that I think I'm happy with now. And I've also, and the reason I've already started this is because this is actually the second time I record this video. I forgot to turn my sound on the first time, so I was talking away to myself for half an hour and none of you could have heard me. Now, well, actually I better fill that tank up whilst I remember as well. So I always forget to do this and it costs me money that I can't afford later to fill them. It's just, there we go. Yep, by that now, thank you. Okay. So, yes, so this is the second time I've recorded this video. So I've already put in the gate here, because this is a gateway with no gate in it originally in this map. I've already put in that double garage, and I've taken out the shed that was here. There's a shed in here, put in this stone fence instead. Now I think last time you saw this map when I'd done it I had a wooden fence in here, but I've now decided to go with the stone one instead. And I've put this because this blue drum here, although you can hide it using the object hider mod, for some reason every time you reload the game that blue drum reappears there. So I put this container of rubbish here just as the blue container's not sitting out in the middle of the yard, in the middle of nowhere sort of thing for no apparent reason. So now it's just another bit of rubbish that wouldn't fit in this container here, so it's just been stacked beside it. And now all I need to do is put all my animal paddocks back in, and then it'll be more or less back to how it was last time and ready for me to finish off. Now I thought during this video I might just talk about a first world problem, because we all know about third world problems. You only have to read the news to know all about third world problems, and to be perfectly honest I try not to look at the news too much, simply because, well, that's right, before we put that in there, so let's go away from doing that. Landscaping instead, painting. So what I always do here is I always paint out the paddock that I'm going to be putting an animal field in. It takes a bit longer to do it this way, but I will show you why. Because if you paint it all out first, and then you go and put the animal pen in, and then grass it all, then you know that where the actual feed troughs are going to end up will be in a nice flat area, and I'll show you what I mean. Anyway, so as I say, I try not to read the news too much because I find it too depressing if you do, with all the problems that are going on in the world. And so we're all very, very well aware of first world problems, and of third world problems. And to be perfectly honest, I think England's actually got a lot of third world problems at the moment because of all the immigrants that they've let into the country are causing all sorts of problems. And in fact, probably you could almost say the same about New York, that they've got quite a lot of third world problems going on at the moment, really, or what should be third world problems. But today I'm going to talk about a first world problem. So because I'm very, very well aware this is a first world problem, I'm not looking for any sympathy or anything like that. I'm just sharing it because I can. So, as most of you know, a couple of months ago, after 12 months of talking my wife into it, I bought a nice little red convertible for myself. And yeah, it took me a year to talk the wife into letting me buy it, but then after I did so, it only took 2 weeks for her to decide that actually she wanted a convertible as well. So we got her a little VW Beetle convertible. Now, unfortunately, since we bought that VW Beetle convertible, it's been nothing but problems. It's always been just little things going wrong. So first, the electric top stopped working, so I had to fix that. No sooner did I fix that, then one of the electric windows broke. I haven't got around to fixing that yet, but then the hood lining came down from the soft top roof, so the lining on the inside of the roof was hanging down. So I fixed that. Then one of the electric windows stopped working. Haven't fixed that yet, but is it something else that needs fixing? Then the temperature gauge. I don't mean the temperature gauge telling you what temperature the engine is. I mean the gauge telling you what temperature it is outside. Started saying silly beggars and saying that it was completely wrong degrees. Got that kind of fixed. I fixed it, but it keeps on re-breaking itself again, so it's not a very good fix, I must say. And then the final straw was the other day I closed the driver's door and the window glass smashed inside the door. So now the glass for the driver's door is all smashed. Now, I did a bit of googling. Turns out the Beetle convertible has completely different glass from what the Beetle hardtop has. And wouldn't you know it, there's not a single Beetle convertible being wrecked at any wreckers in New Zealand currently. There's only hardtop ones. So that means that to replace that glass in the driver's door, we're going to have to order a new window from Germany. It's going to take about 7 weeks to get here, and at a cost of many hundreds of dollars. So that's more than just annoying, to tell the truth. It's, and it's got to the stage where, as much as we absolutely love this little Beetle convertible, and we do love it, we also, with equal amounts, absolutely hate it, just because there's so many things, so many little niggly things going wrong with it. I suppose the reason for that is it's European, and it's coming up for 20 years old. Well, it is 20 years old now. So I think, to be perfectly honest, buying a 20-year-old European car was a mistake. See, I told you it was a first world problem and not a third world problem or anything. So we decided, well, look, it's not worth ordering this door glass and waiting, 7 weeks, maybe a couple of months for it to arrive at huge cost to us, and fit it, only for more little niggly problems to go wrong. So it was sort of came to the conclusion, as much as we love this car, and we do love it, we also hate it with equal equal amounts, and that perhaps we're better off just to flick it off now and let it be someone else's problem. And don't get me wrong, I wouldn't lie in the advertising. I'd be perfectly upfront. Like, I'd tell them, look, the driver's window is smashed and needs replacing. You can buy this car as is. I mean, the engine still runs really, really well, nothing wrong with the motor. Either buy it and fix it yourself, or buy it just to use as parts for fixing your own Beetle convertible if you've got one that's got problems as well, and just sell it for whatever we can get and buy my wife something else instead, something that is both a dream car for her, but also something that's actually a pleasure to own, because this Beetle's certainly turning out not to be a pleasure to own. Yeah, and this is where the real first world problem comes in. So today, after church, we went in and went around the different car yards looking at cars. And here's the problem. Once you've owned a convertible, it's very, very hard to find something else that actually seems like a fun car that you'd want to own. Everything we looked at, bearing in mind that in New Zealand, pretty much everything is Japanese, okay? The other European cars that we could have bought, you know, BMW, Mercedes-Benz and all that, well, all of those are expensive, so we'd be buying a very old one and an old European car. I suspect we would have exactly the same problems as what we currently have with the VW, so it's just not worth doing, to tell the truth. So we kind of resigned ourselves to the fact that we would have to be buying something Japanese, because otherwise we're just going to have more of the same, and that probably looks about right to me to put that there, I think. Let's just see if I can. Yeah, no, that looks about right. So, yeah, and so we wanted to avoid buying another old European car. So we were just looking at Japanese cars, and as I said, after let's go rename, and that's going to be the home paddock there. So we were looking at Japanese cars, and to be perfectly honest, everything we looked at was just boring after the Beetle convertible. So we decided, perhaps, and we're not certain that this is going to happen yet, so don't quote me on this, it may not happen, we may change our minds about what direction we're headed, but right now what we're considering is perhaps we should get her an MX-5 as well, and perhaps that's the answer, so she can have a car that's both reliable and a car that's not boring. So yeah, don't go suggesting to us in the comments of this video that we buy a Camaro or Corvette or something like that, because absolutely everything like that in New Zealand is extremely expensive, so it's absolutely out of the question. Okay, so I'm happy with that. That being our first cow paddock. So now we can go plants and put it into grass. And why is that blue still showing? That should have disappeared by now. Why is that still showing? Now it's disappeared. Let's see if we can go in there now and not. Oh yes, that's better. Now it's disappeared. So plants, grass. Oh, actually, before we plant the grass, just go paint, animal mud. Just go down here and turn that into a circle, make it a bit bigger. Just put some mud around the feed troughs. I always do that, because if you put grass too close to the feed troughs, it grows through the troughs and it just looks absolutely ridiculous. So I always put a bit of animal mud. Let's be honest, the animals probably crowding around there, and the grass would pretty well turn to mud anyway. And then we can just, as you can see here, put grass everywhere else. So yes, we're thinking about getting her an MX-5 of her own. So we came home, we had a look online on Trade Me, and blow me down, we found an MX-5 that's a possibility, and we haven't decided on this for certain yet, but it's a possibility that we might buy it for her, and it's exactly the same colour as my one, exactly the same alloy wheels as my one. In fact, the only difference between my one and this one we've found is that this one is an automatic, which suits my wife. She does know how to drive a manual, but she prefers an auto, so having an auto one would actually be ideal for her. So yeah, we're thinking about buying her this MX-5, and we'll no doubt make a decision in the next few days, and so she might end up with a car that looks absolutely identical to mine in every way, and the only difference being that it will have an automatic gearbox where mine has a 6-speed manual. Now, if we go ahead and do this, there's no guarantees that we're going to yet, but if we do, it would then make sense that perhaps we get personalised plates for our cars. At the moment I don't have a personalised plate for mine, but you know, it's something I'd be quite keen on doing perhaps. So we were joking around, you know, what would happen if we had plates that were almost the same as each other. So what we're considering doing is getting me, bearing in mind these are convertible cars, getting me a plate that says T0P L55, and if you kind of write that out in your head, it spells out topless, which is for convertible cars probably ideal, and then getting her the personalised plate TPL55, which also spells out topless. So basically we'd both have the number plate topless on our car, with just like 1 litre difference, TPL55 versus T0P L55. So it would make people very, very confused. They'd never know whose car it is or anything, with having 2 plates so close to the same. So yeah, but anyway, thinking about what car to replace this VW Bug with, we love and hate in equal measure. That's the first world problem that currently my wife and I are having. So I shall end the video here, and I'll finish painting this field off camera as well as planting the rest of my field. You can see now how, see, I've now got this whole paddock done in just 2 squares. If I go back there for a second and go like that, you'll be able to see the 2 squares, see? So these 2 squares here, you can see are covering pretty much that whole paddock, and that turns that into a animal paddock, just like that. And that's how this these placeable pastures work I'm using. It's quite neat because it works on hillsides as well. Anyway, I'll call that a day now. Thank you very much, and good night.